Hi, and welcome to Tauros All Access, the Monday edition sponsored by the Minot YMCA. I'm Lauren Hill. This is Evan Epstein. Our Tauros traveled down to Aberdeen, South Dakota this past weekend and did not get the result that we were expecting at all.
No, they did not. And Friday was a very close and competitive game between the Tauros and the Aberdeen Wings. Tauros get on the board first. Gavin Middendorf picks up the goal, but it took a deflection off a Wings defender out in front, got past Damon Cunningham, but the Wings would respond with two. Ultimately, the Tauros just got goalied on Friday, right? Lucas Fedin played very well, 29 of 31, but Cunningham 31 of 32 between the pipes for the Aberdeen Wings. And then Cunningham plays well again in game two. He goes 34 for 36 on the shots he faces. The Tauros defense really struggled on Saturday. Tauros give up 7 goals, a season high, as they would fall 7-2.
Yeah, our Tauros were 0 for 5 on the power play on Friday and 1 for 3 on Saturday. Not a typical weekend for the Tauros, as for a majority of the season, we held that top power play percentage in the entire league.
No, the power play wasn't very good this weekend, but you look at Saturday's game, and there was not much going right for the Tauros. Offensively, defensively, there were a lot of opportunities created in front of the net of Will Mazenko. And you see, even when the Tauros did tack on a goal in the third period to cut the deficit to 3, just over 20 seconds later, the Wings scored again, got their lead back up to 4, as the Tauros were never really in that game.
Yeah, the Tauros do have 1 weekend to go in the regular season to get back on track as we play the #1 team in the Central Division, the Bismarck Bobcats, this coming weekend. Home ice on Friday and in Bismarck on Saturday.
This weekend is crucial, and while there may not be playoff implications in this series, we have a good idea of where things stack up right now. The reason this series is so important is because the Tauros need momentum on their side going into the playoffs. You play well this weekend against Bismarck, and you can feed off that in the first playoff series against the Austin Bruins. If you play poorly this weekend, then it's 2 weekends in a row where the Tauros haven't played well, and that's tough going into the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. We didn't have a whole lot of shift in our skater stats this past weekend, but there was a little bit, so we'll update you on that. Let's take a look.
And the big thing to watch here is Ian Spencer sitting at 70 points. Hunter Longy holds the single-season point record for the Tauros with 71 points. Spencer needs 2 points to set that record, and he has 2 games to do so.
Yeah, and our second top point leader and our first star, Liberty Tax first star of the week, Jack O'Hannison, did score his 24th goal on the season, putting him at 65 total points this season as we take a look at the Kroll's Diner goal of the week.
Can't really close out Tauros trivia except for maybe the empty netter. I can't imagine we're going to see that, but this is O'Hannison. Shot, it's in. Bar down for O'Hanny. Nice play on the rush.
A beautiful goal by O'Hannison, taking it high over the glove side of Damon Cunningham, but ultimately it would prove to be too little too late for the Tauros as they fell 7-2. So we have a pretty good idea of what the first playoff series is going to look like. The Tauros will 100% be playing the Austin Bruins. Now the question is if the Bruins will be the 2 and the Tauros will be the 3. The Bruins hold a 4-point lead over the Tauros going into the final series of the year, and the Bruins get to play the Minnesota Mallards. So if the Bruins get 1 point against the Mallards, and remember, this is a Mallards team that has lost 19 games in a row, so the assumption is the Bruins will win both games. They would then lock in the 2 seed, and the Tauros would be in the 3 seed, giving the Bruins home ice, and that would set the playoff schedule for the first round for the Tauros.
Yeah, based on our predictions, we will have home ice April 25th and 26th against the Austin Bruins. So like a broken record here, you all know that we need every single one of you watching right now to be in this building for both games. So please mark your calendars. Again, that's April 25th and April 26th. We need you here in the Mesa Arena, filling up the stands, every cowbell possible, every whistle and horn. We want it here making noise, trying to distract those Austin Bruins. So please mark your calendars for that. Also, you can scan this QR code to buy your tickets. Just go ahead and do it. It's right there. And one last reminder, this is the last week that you can exchange those flex tickets that maybe you've been holding on to for a certain game or whatnot. You can only use them for regular season home games. which our last one this season is April 11th, this Friday, against the Bismarck Bobcats. So please come in anytime this week and exchange your flex tickets and get your seats for this Friday. But other than that, that'll do it for today's episode of Tauros All Access. Again, please scan this QR code right here, get your tickets. If you don't have tickets for Friday, go ahead and get them. If you don't have tickets for the first round of playoffs, go ahead and get them. We would love to have you here. We want to have you here. You can also buy merchandise through this link. Booster Club information is also in there. Anything Tauros related is in this QR code, so please scan that. But other than that, that'll do it for today's episode of Tauros All Access, and we will see you tomorrow.